What is your favorite game of all time? Everyone has an answer to this question. Some have options, others have a definite answer. For me though, it's always been, without hesitation, Mass Effect 1. Not 2, not 3, the original game. It's always had this special place in my heart. I remember when I first discovered it. I was watching an IGN top Xbox games of all time countdown video, and there it was at number 1 in 2009. I hadn't heard of the game at all, but I did know BioWare. They just came out with Dragon Age Origins, which turned out to be one of my favorite games up to that point. And with Mass Effect 2 right around the corner, I decided to take a chance. So I went out and rented the first game, back when you could actually rent games. And yeah, it just captivated me. I don't think I knew just how much I loved sci-fi until this game. The world, the dialogue, the way its story hooked me and just didn't let go. It was unlike anything I'd played before, and really ever since. If you would have told that kid that a decade later he'd be listed in the credits of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, he wouldn't have believed you. Which, by the way, that's such a great honor. I can't believe that BioWare did that. When people ask why I love Mass Effect 1 the most, why I say it's my favorite of the three, not necessarily the best, but my favorite, I have a hard time explaining why. I think nostalgia is a big part of it. It's where I fell in love with these games, so I'm always going to have this reverence for it. In the last couple of years, though, I struggled even more to explain why. I was burned out after Andromeda, and I just stopped replaying these games altogether and focused on other things. This is why Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out at just about the perfect time, because it's after the dust settled with Andromeda and before the next Mass Effect game is coming out. The Legendary Edition version of this game reaffirmed that gut feeling that I've always had. It managed to remind me why I fell in love with this game in the first place, and it recaptured my imagination just like it did the first time over a decade ago. Now that it's fresh on my mind again, this is my attempt to explain. What is the magic of Mass Effect? What are these special ingredients, the essentials, the sugar, spice, and everything nice that makes Mass Effect the absolute greatest game of all time to me? The sugar of Mass Effect is how it puts you, the player, at the center of this universe. Most games have you play the protagonist, right? But I'd argue that playing Commander Shepard is a wholly unique experience. While it might seem like Shepard is this blank slate that you can write over and create your own story, he's really not. He's a hero. You are at the epicenter of anything and everything that matters, and you end up being the savior of not only humanity, but all organic and synthetic life. And you're able to shape what kind of hero Shepard is, the ruthless renegade or the model paragon. But playing Shepard is more than just choosing dialogue and guiding the story along. Playing Shepard is like playing you. What I mean is, this game has a sort of fourth wall breaking quality where it recognizes that you, the player, are new to this world too. In the Citadel, Shepard can walk up to dozens of characters and ask questions like, "Tell me about your race's history and culture." This is where most games with dialogue options stop. They give you the answer and then you move on. But Mass Effect is unique because Shepard can ask follow-up questions with very specific context to what was just said. It takes that extra step. It goes a layer deeper, giving off the effect that, yes, you are having a legitimate conversation with different options that feels natural. Mass Effect is designed for someone to wander around a space station that is alien, literally and figuratively, and ask questions. In other words, this game is designed for the inquisitive. And luckily for us, most everyone in Citadel space will answer any questions Shepard might have. I mean, he is a Spectre. I'm a little OCD by nature, but I know this taps into my intrinsic motivation. I can't help but choose every single dialogue option there is. I want to hear what these characters have to tell me because it's absolutely worth hearing. Mass Effect rewards me for being curious, with rich world building and incredible presentation for its time. I feel like people already know Mass Effect has incredible world building, so I won't spend too much time here. The care and attention given to this world it's just hard to match. Mass Effect does feel truly, fully realized, like a universe that's been lived in with tons of history, and you're really only skimming the surface of it with Shepard. It's a world that feels like it would go on without Shepard. Still, one of my all-time favorite moments in video games is talking to Sovereign. The weight of this scene is immense. The stakes are risen to unbelievable heights, and the payoff works just about every single time I've played this game. The spice of Mass Effect is how it recognizes how you play. Anyone who loves these games will tell you that making choices is one of the most fun aspects of the series. It's genuinely satisfying to make a choice with weight, with impact that you see unfold right in front of you. And by the nature of who Shepard is and what kind of situations you get into, these games do an excellent job of putting you in legitimately tough, moral, ethical dilemmas. But on my replay, I noticed one unique quality that Mass Effect 1 champions above all else. It understands how gamers play games, and the world sort of bends around you. Most games with player choice really only deal with it on the surface. The events of the story culminate to one big moment where you have to make a really tough call. Mass Effect does this. Lots of big open world RPGs mix in dialogue checks depending on where you spend your skill points or what you're good at. Mass Effect does this too. But what it does differently is that it respects the order in which you found things, in which you do things, and more importantly, how you have decided to shape your character through your decisions. Which is to say, it respects non-linearity in a way that few other games do. Take the Asari Consort mission on the Citadel. There are so many varying inputs that create unique outputs, but the one that surprised me most relates to your squad. If you bring your love interest to the conversation when you talk to Sha'ira, they will protest when she gives Shepard her gift of words. But that exchange only happens if you had already built up a relationship up to that moment. I didn't actually know this because I almost always do this mission the first time I go to the Citadel. The world and the characters around you recognize your decisions in ways that are satisfying and not only produce that aha moment, they just make sense in a logical way. At the end of the same mission, if you play your cards right, the consort will give you a mysterious trinket. And it turns out that if you happen to explore the uncharted world of Elitania, you'll find a Prothean sphere with a keyhole. Somehow that unlocks the sphere and it gives you a unique bit of flavor text. But if you don't have the key, if you didn't do things right, you can't open it. Again, this is a detail I just didn't catch the numerous times I'd played before, and I found myself really appreciating it. In the best examples of this, the what, the when, and the how matters. Who's in your squad? What do they contribute to the context and the conversation? Did you talk to this person before you talked to another person? For example, I was stunned to find that Pharos has a set of side missions in Zoo's Hope that only appear if you return to the colonists after talking to their leader. I've played this game at least a dozen times and I never knew these existed. Mass Effect has a keen understanding of the messiness of a gamer's playthrough, the zigzag order in which we do things, whether consciously or by accident. What you do has an impact, and it makes your position in the world and the decisions you make, big or small, have a perceived weight that is understood in unique and interesting and creative ways. The everything nice of Mass Effect, to me, is the structure. This game is delivered like a neatly wrapped present in a box with a bow on top. Words like cinematic and space opera are typically used to describe the experience. And I know cinematic has become a dirty word in video games lately, but it's absolutely present in Mass Effect. The way this game carries itself and unfolds its narrative beats from planet to planet really does feel like an epic. When I think about why I'm so sucked into the story of this game, I always come back to a single word: momentum. Mass Effect has a sense of urgency that hurls me through every single time I play it. I don't want to just finish the game because I paid for it, because I own it. I want to stop Saren and the Reapers. I feel Shepard's anger with the Council not listening and respecting him. I understand the pressure that humanity feels as the new kid on the block. I feel that existential dread when Shepard realizes The stakes are so much higher than anyone could imagine. The weight of this story is so well realized that it's sort of impossible for me to not feel it myself. People talk about great stories in video games, and Mass Effect is usually on the short list with a lot of others that people really love and respect, but for me, nothing holds a candle to, nothing really hits home quite like Mass Effect. And looking at the game now with the remaster, I think so much of that is due to the way that this game is structured. Mass Effect is an action RPG with a lot of dialogue. It has this satisfying core gameplay loop of intense combat followed by choice and conversation. Returning to the Citadel and talking to my squad between missions on the Normandy becomes a sort of ritual. But what I find myself appreciating most is that Mass Effect is not open world. It's not endless. There's a lot more to do on Uncharted Worlds than I remembered before the remaster, but Mass Effect does not overstay its welcome. It is not a 3-hour-long movie that drags in the middle and lazily hurdles over the finish line. And I know, it's hard for me to be objective with the game. I really do love it, but there's no single part that is just bad to me at all. It fits together like pieces of a puzzle, no matter how many times you break it down to reassemble. It's a book that you pick up to read before bed, and only the sunrise makes you realize you've been reading all night long. I get so entrenched when I play this game, and it's every single time. This video isn't supposed to be about Andromeda, but playing the remaster solidified to me what I think I already knew. Mass Effect works best as a corridor-filled action RPG with dialogue, choices, and big set-piece moments. These, to me, are the bones that make up the Mass Effect experience, and if any one thing is sort of set out of balance, it really, really suffers. While the world does create a sense of wonder and excitement, and, oh, I really want to explore this vast galaxy, I think it just needs urgency. It needs to suck me in, and it needs to push me forward. Again, this game does try to do that with some open-ended exploration with Uncharted Worlds, but on my replay, I found that this isn't really what represents what I loved about the game. It's the story, it's the context, the characters, the world, the big moments. That's why I play these games. Mass Effect strikes this perfect balance of making me feel like I'm in the driver's seat guiding the experience, but also giving me the structure that I need to be pushed through it. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons the original game absolutely stands the test of time. Of course, there's so much more to be said about Mass Effect. I mean, the combat, the RPG mechanics, and the brilliant soundtrack, just to name a few, but we've got plenty of time, right? I'll save those for videos in the future. But for now, this is what stood out on my replay of the first game in the Legendary Edition. I'm going to make my way through the other 2 games in the trilogy, and I'm sure I'll really enjoy it, so I'll kind of chime back in and share my thoughts on those as I play them. But for now, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is kind of a passion project, so I hope you guys felt that. If you did enjoy, please let me know by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. You can also hit the bell so you don't miss my next video. That gives you live notifications every time I upload. You can also follow me on social media. On Twitter, I am jayveeonYT, and Instagram, I am jayvee.yt for updates on all of my content. If you want to chat more about Mass Effect or really any other game, join our community Discord server over at discord.gg/jayveeonYT. Links for everything I've mentioned are in the description below. Big thanks to my YouTube members, Ultra Fans, Bill, Cam, and Jacob, Super Fans, Tipsy Sergey, Tarl K, and William, Fans, Matthew, Spyro, JVO, Level 42, Blood Sky, Kamal, and Andy, and supporters, Nos, Sung, Adam, Mr. Hollow, Quickness, Firkin, Jay, Sam, Abhishek, Ferris, Report, Gabrielle, Abraham, and Reaper Man for supporting the channel. If you want to support me further, click the join button below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.